I'm making another album, and as I was posting the last episode, the title was Crisis. I remember thinking at that point, this isn't, it's a creative crisis. I haven't done very much. There's not that much time left, but there are some people out there who are having real crises, and they would read this and go, "What are you going on about, Mike Monday? That's not a crisis." And funnily enough, what happened this week, almost immediately after I recorded the last episode, was that we had a massive life happening moment. A family emergency has occurred, and I've had a very difficult week. I'm not going to go into what it is, but when something big happens, a big life happening moment happens, you have to focus on family, and it's been a difficult week, let's put it that way. So this week, apart from continuing my workshops and one-to-one coaching sessions that I do and mastermind groups that I do, I haven't done anything else. I haven't written any emails. As you'll notice, I haven't recorded a podcast episode because I've simply had to focus on family and sorting things out here and doing what we need to do to make sure everyone's okay. So don't worry about me if you are. We're getting through it, and I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that for the foreseeable future, I'm not going to have the time to set aside to just completely focus on finishing my album. It's just not feasible. And for the foreseeable future, this is my new reality. I'm going to have less time, and the time that I do have is going to be more unpredictable. But even though I have to put my family first and my clients next in terms of what I do with my time, that doesn't make my own music any less important. Because the way I see it is my ability to make music and me making music is one of the things that allows me to be a better dad, husband, and coach. Without me doing that thing that fills me up, without me doing the thing that allows me to grow, that without doing that thing that allows me to progress, then I'm likely to not be able to fulfill my other roles as well. I'm likely to be unhappy and, under stressful conditions. Apart from anything else, when what was happening last week, it got so stressful at one point that I couldn't do this, but at one point I did actually write a couple of songs. I was writing lyrics for songs and, expressing how I was feeling. And that actually made me feel better. And it doesn't always have to be such a direct example of it. It's not like, there's this crisis happening. Right, I'm going to write a song about it. Oh, now I feel better. That's only one way in which making music, writing songs, how it helps me process what's going on. That's just one way. The other way is like when I feel that I'm fulfilled, then that allows me to take on more stress, to take on more responsibility, to think about others more because I'm looking after number one. Think of it a little bit like exercise or meditation or eating well. I view for an artist, if you at your core, whether you have a day job or not, and whether you struggle with finding the time to make music or not, if in your heart you feel you have this artistic urge, then you have to feed it. Otherwise, you're not going to be the best person in other areas of your life. You know that's true already. And so that's how I see it. So in this situation, in this new reality, and it is for the foreseeable future, I'm going to have to think about how I'm going to finish these albums because I'm still keeping my eye on 4 albums this year. I'm still focused on doing 1,000 songs in 1,000 days. It feels even less possible now, but this is an opportunity, even though I wish it hadn't have happened, this is an opportunity for me to find out how I can still feed my creative soul while also making sure that I can help my family. Because I think they're actually the same thing. How I can be the best husband and dad that I can be, the best coach I can be, and feeding my creative soul. That is the same thing. What it has to be about is turning it into, in the real world, as much of a priority as it is in my heart. Now, in a situation where there is less time, that's fixable. The bit that I'm not sure about at the moment is the unpredictability of that time. So if I'm suddenly called away to do something when I didn't expect to be, then that's going to be tricky for deadlines. Having said that, though, in just talking this through, I still think it's worth setting the deadlines, because that's what makes the priority in your heart a priority in the world, right? Because if there's lots of urgent things out there, you have to make your music urgent as well. So number one, I have to still set deadlines. And if I'm called away to do something at some point, it's okay if I break that deadline. That's the way I interact with deadlines anyway. So that actually doesn't change. It's just, I guess, I'm going to be breaking more deadlines than I would have done. And I could even think of it as, okay, I'm only allowed to break a deadline if there's been something outside my control that has led to it. So I'm not allowed to break a deadline if it's just me saying, oh, I didn't finish on time. The other thing I'm going to have to figure out is what this means for my music, actually what my music is, because I'm now in a universe where I don't know how much time I've lost yet, but certainly for the next while, it's likely to be significant. So what this probably means is I'm going to have to lower the bar on what my music is, what my albums are. And in fact, as I talk about this could be described as an opportunity. Because, I mean, I've been talking about this already. Even in the last episode, the Crisis episode, where I said, I'm just going to keep the instrumentation incredibly simple and focus on the song. Well, right there, if I just take that to its logical conclusion, my songs are going to be playing the piano and singing, full stop. If I say, okay, I'm going to focus on, number one, writing songs, number two, recording them with me just playing a piano or a Rhodes, some kind of keys thing, and that's it. That's what my albums are going to be for the foreseeable future. Then, in fact, what has happened there is that the universe has almost forced me to do the thing that maybe I was moving towards anyway. So it could be described that this new reality, certainly in terms of my creative process, is an opportunity, because I'm being forced to do the thing that I was already moving towards. But beyond knowing that music is still important, beyond realizing that I still need to set deadlines, and beyond recognizing that, in a sense, while I desperately wish life hadn't have happened in the way that it has, given that it has, this new reality, I can see this new reality in terms of my creative process as an opportunity. Beyond all of those ideas and insights, I need to turn them into practical reality. So in other words, I need to set a new deadline, which is hard but brittle. So in other words, if in the highly likely event that something pulls me away from what I can do, if some unforeseen thing in our new reality occurs, then that means the deadline can break and be shifted. So I think I prefer to think of it as being brittle more than flexible. So in other words, it is a hard deadline, but if it breaks, and then I can set a new one. That's the way I need to think about deadlines now, is that they're hard and brittle. Looking at the songs on this album, there's 8 of them. They do tell a story, they fit together, and they work as an album. So I'm going to keep it to that 8. And I've just been thinking about, okay, so if I do them much more just me playing and singing than I was expecting, then how many sessions would result in an album that was passable, at least? And I thought, okay, that's around 4 sessions per track. Now, bear in mind that because I didn't think about these tracks exactly like this, some of them won't be just me playing and singing. For instance, I've got Joni, one of the Make Music Your Life coaches, singing backing vocals on a couple of them. And there's various different other bits that I'm just not going to remove because that would actually take more time. But certainly for the album after this one, and I've already got an idea of what I want that to be, particularly now this has happened, kind of makes a lot more sense. definitely for the next album, I'm going to be thinking of the songs that I'm writing as very simple. They have to work simply as songs with just one instrument and a voice. And for the songs on the album I'm finishing now, I'm going to take the quickest route to finishing. And I thought, okay, 4 sessions on each, so 4 times 8 is 32 sessions. I think I can commit at this point to just over 1 session a day in order to finish this album. Today here is the 13th of April, so I'm going to say my new deadline for this album is the 13th of May. Of course, that's going to put me well behind on the next album, but given that I've been writing 1,000 songs and I've certainly got a lot of new experiences to write about as well, and also I know that they're going to be extremely simple in terms of the production, I feel pretty good about being able to actually finish the next album as well on time. And in terms of the album podcast, as I am in a new reality, I'm going to call this the final episode of season 5, because then season 6 will be the start of this new life that I'm now living. And just to be clear, don't worry about me if you are. I'll be fine. We're moving forward. We're working through it. This is what life brings, right? So with all that said, I'm going to stop talking about making an album and start making one.